So what I was thinking about doing with this build of the Monogram flying sub as a motivator to get going on my Mobius huger version of the flying sub was to do a side-by-side comparison of assembly. So this first video here, which is actually the third video now in the series, I want to look over the assembly instructions and note some of the differences between them. So step one in the Monogram excuse me, is largely is taking care of three parts: the grappler arm assembly with the little holder for it, and then the lower entrance gangway, or not gangway, but pressure door, which in this kit has the spot for the stand on it, so it doesn't actually reflect what the Mobius should show, I believe. Then step two, you move on to assembling the floor and getting certain pieces in there ahead of time for later pieces that will be coming, and a control panel toward the back. I'm going to need to see if that's a control panel that I can light and whether or not it'll be worth the effort of lighting. I think that will come down to whether or not I open the rear pressure door or not, so that you can actually see inside to be able to view that. And then in step three, you're putting in seats and control arms on the seats, and then the figures. And then part four, you start assembling the engines, and step five, the girders around the control section, and six, finishing that off and inserting the ladder to it. So let's take a look at just some of those steps in regard to the Mobius kit. I'll get the lid off now. And the instructions buried down here at the bottom, I believe. Yes. Okay. So the Mobius kit is going to be extremely different. So first off is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 piece assembly to each chair. So that's it's going to be quite a bit more involved. Then the lower docking ring assembly, and putting the hatch into it with the wheel as well. Then the assembly of the tunnel. There is no tunnel assembly in the Monogram. Interesting. I'm trying to recall how that was when I was a kid. And then the not all that helpful single shot here of just assembling all of the girders and control panels and everything for the center. And then the center piece will be a standalone piece that will fit inside moving on to the next stage of it. So this is a very, very different assembly altogether. I like the reference guide photos and so forth, and the paint guide on the back, which is nice to have. And I'm going to need to get some chrome yellow for the exterior, because I know there's going to be a need to give that a coat, especially if I'm going to light everything. I'm going to need a light block, and so I will need to repaint everything in chrome yellow. So interesting, significant differences right off the bat. Now the lower docking ring, the pressure door, for this larger kit, it's also for the stand, but it's not an insert stand piece like on the Monogram kit. Trying to see if you can somewhat see the image there. You see that piece number 41 would go there if you didn't want to use the stand, but if you are using the stand, then you leave that piece out so that the stand can hold it there. And there is not, looking again here, there is not the little tow arm, which looks a lot like the grabber arm for a jet that you have on the Monogram kit. So this is not a part of the assembly for the larger Mobius kit, and I'm not sure what that is all about. I would have to rewatch the series to find out if this grabber arm was something that completely recessed into the hull of the flying sub itself, or not. There doesn't seem to be any indication of it at all, except for this insert panel here, and then you have the two panels for the landing gear as well, but that's another kit edition that can be got. So it does not appear to be a thing with the larger Mobius kit at all, really. There is no grabber arm that I see anywhere. So if that is part of an accessory kit, then that's what it goes for. So let me look at the actual bottom. Yeah, you've got the area molded into it there, but to actually make use of that, you'd have to carve it out. So, interesting differences. Now, given a scale difference on this, here is the bottom of the Monogram kit. Let me go ahead and open this, and I'll lay it inside the Mobius. God, I remember this kit when I was a kid. Loved this kit, loved playing with it. So, one thing to notice right off the bat, in addition to the size difference, on the Monogram you've got a little panel here, some kind of an access hatch, and then the clear opening for the grappling hook here, and a couple of little divots here that are going to have to be filled in. Not seeing the same kind of poor molding on the Mobius. But there are not the 3 other hatches like you see on the Mobius kit. There's nothing here on the Monogram, just this one hatch down here, which is not duplicated on the Mobius. So I'm not sure what that is all about there. I don't remember the show well enough to know if there ever actually was any kind of a hatch like that there. But that's an interesting difference. And there's there's the size differential on it. Now you can see why I am so intimidated about doing the Mobius kit. It's just so much bigger, and I just don't want to screw it up. So I really freaked myself out about doing it. But I think doing the Monogram one will buck me up enough to be able to get over this little hesitation that I have about it. A lot more guiding pegs and stuff in the Mobius, obviously, to secure everything. And there's just really no flashing at all around the edge. Very, very little of the Monogram kit. Looks like there's a little bit of flashing here where the windshield goes, and I'll just sand that down because it's very fine. Another difference, the ring to the lower hatch is it protrudes, whereas on the Monogram it's flush with just this etched ring around it, so it doesn't have that that three-dimensional quality to it like the Mobius kit does. Also, another major difference is, notice the skids here connect all the way through, but that is not the case with the Mobius kit. So some more interesting differences there. Now another major difference that I'm seeing right now is that the top side of the Monogram kit, let me lay this out here, is going to be in these 3 pieces. So you have the 2 wings and then the centerpiece that snaps in and out so you can look inside. Contrasted with the Mobius kit, which beautifully does it as one solid piece, which is quite a bit nicer, obviously. But again, notice the skids here do not connect all the way through on the Mobius kit, but they do go all the way through on the Monogram kit. So these little specialized differences between the two. So this is I'm starting to get excited. This is going to be a fun build, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the Mobius kit. I think doing this Monogram is going to really get my my confidence up to be able to tackle the Mobius. Because as I said, I've just been so psyched out by it because I really don't want to screw it up. But looking at it and then remembering how much I loved the Monogram kit when I was a kid, I'm just really, really looking forward to having both of these versions done. I think that'll be awesome. Now, what else do I have here with this? In addition to the Voodoo Effects kit for my Mobius kit, I also got the photo etch kit for it, with the decals that go over all the control panels, and that'll be nice to have there too. Really excited about this. But I'm not sure how I'm going to go about doing the lighting yet at all for the Monogram kit. Obviously much tighter spaces, and so I'm going to really have to work out where everything's going to be so that I can fit it all. But I think, remembering now how the top is, I think I'm not going to cut out the rear pressure door so that you can see into the engine room, because again, you just lift off this top piece and you see everything in it. But I'm curious how the hallway is going to look, since there isn't a hallway, and maybe, yeah, see, you can see it, the tunnel that is part and parcel to the innards of the Mobius kit. There is no tunnel for this. There are just these two side walls that will demarcate that space for the engine room, and there will not be that tunnel that goes between the two engines, so everything will be exposed. So I'm wondering if I should fabricate the tunnel and leave the roof of the tunnel off, just to kind of reproduce that from what I have with the Mobius kit, to try to make these two kits come in line a little closer. So you can see a little more clearly on the back side here. You see how the whole engine room is going to be exposed. So maybe I will make that little tunnel. I'm not entirely sure yet. But it looks like in building the central control area that I'll be able to do the lighting for the floodlights here at the front, as well as the lighting of all the controls there, and being able to control any light leakages that might be visible from the windshields. It looks like that'll be easily sealed off so that I can do that. And I should probably go and watch some episodes to get some reference to the actual model in action, to see if there's any specialized exterior lighting or anything. I don't think there was, but that's something to definitely think about. Really getting excited about this again. Yeah, see, that's just a fundamental design difference between the two models. You see that in the Mobius kit, because it's that single piece on the top, you don't have the engine room available to you at all. And you notice that the engines themselves are not these longer, like jet engine cylinders like in the Monogram kit, because it's just not anything that you would see with this kit. So interesting. Now what's strange is that even though on the Mobius kit the skids don't go all the way through, you've got to paint them all the way through. And that's probably why the Monogram kit has them molded all the way through, is because somebody just looked at the actual painting reference and interpreted that to be a continuous skid mold all the way through on it. So I'm gonna probably have to order some paints as well to make sure I've got the right ones. I've got a number of these already, but like ice blue pearl, yeah, I don't have that. for the chair parts.